So, since I was the first dev, I had to come up with the basic concept of the game, and the first idea that came to my head was a superhero game. So, I decided to run with that. I started out with modeling our main character in Blender. Uh, it's nothing special, but I'm not really a 3D modeler. I was too lazy to rig the model and animate it, so I just decided to import the animations from Mixamo. I then imported the model to Unity and slapped on these cool glasses that I found online. I then made an animator component and hooked the animations. I also added a cape, which took way too long, and it kind of works, but as you'll see later on, it still has major issues. I then looked at my clock and realized that I only had 1 hour left. So I quickly scrapped together a flying controller. It definitely needs work, and hopefully, someone else can make it much better. But yeah, that's everything from me, and all the best to the next step.
Hello everyone, I'm Faiaz and the dev 2 of the Telephone Jam. Unfortunately, I got sick during the jam, so I couldn't record my process of the game. But here is an overall showcase. So I worked on a queue-based health system with some LARPing effect using Tatooine, as you can see in the top left. Um, there's some mechanics overall. Thanks, Dave, for the model and the flying mechanic. So the green ones are actually like they give you health, and the red ones take off 1 health. So let's just go to the red one. Oops, I missed it. Oh, I'm bad. Okay, there we. Okay, I am really terrible. What the hell? Let's go to the other one. All right, flying straight towards that. There we go, and it took off one health point. Let's just do one more. Hopefully I can hit it. Okay, there you go. Alright. And the green one heals you, so there we go. We got 1 health back. Nice. And there is this yellow one, which is actually used to set your max health. So if I take this capsule, I got a lot more. Yeah, so that's about it. The animation, everything as I mentioned, it's handled by Dotun. Pretty neat library. Like, it has some really cool stuff, and you can do really interesting stuff with it. I also added some post-processing to the UI as well, like setting up a different UI camera so that captures only UI effects. And yeah, I really had a lot of fun working on this. I've never actually worked on a 3D project before, so I actually didn't do anything with 3D stuff, but setting up these capsules was a pretty interesting experience as well. Thank you so much.
When I got the project, it was basically just a flight simulator where you could go around and grab these little pill things. And instead of doing the same thing and trying to come up with a direction for the game, I thought, I like flying, but the flying in this game kind of sucks. So how can I make it better? I approached the problem, well, in 2 steps. First of all, the original camera that was using Cinema Machine was pretty bad. It was really floaty, and you didn't really lock your cursor anywhere, so you just have to move your cursor all around your screen in order to get to do anything. So first thing I did was delete that camera and replace it with a new one. So this new camera, you click and hold, and you can turn, and the camera will kind of rotate with you. It kind of flows, so it really feels like you're flying. You gotta get in the flying mindset to really appreciate what I'm about to show you now. So new flight changes quite a bit. There's momentum now, a little bit of it. You got these little trails behind you to kind of show you where you're going. If you fly downwards, you go faster, and most importantly, if you fly near an object, you'll actually get a little boost. So I'm not quite sure where the game is going, but I noticed that flight was already a really big thing in the game, so I thought maybe I'll spend some time and make sure that flight really feels good. So you can kind of fly around, it's all the same mechanics as before, all the same amazing sound effects, but now just with more fun flight. So Can't wait to see what the next developer does with this code. I hope they don't delete it. I'd be really sad.
All right, just open up the project. Let's see what we got here. Holy. You can fly around, okay. You can look around. Okay. I got some ideas. Let me see what I can cook up. Alright, here's the game plan. So we got our guy. He's got a cape. So I'm gonna make a hoop, which will be the start. And the goal is we're gonna have like 30 seconds to get from one to another, and maybe along the path have like checkpoints you need to hit. Throughout this, we have these like bad things, right, that damage us. I think our player needs laser vision. So while you're flying, you should be able to shoot lasers to blow stuff up. Why? Because I think that's fun. Okay, this is the goal. We'll check back in a little bit. So for my first little progress update, I'm working on building the ring race system. So now this little green spot is the start, and once you fly through, it'll disappear and show you your first checkpoint, your second checkpoint, and then your finish line. So here's our next little update of what we got here. We got a little system where developers are able to set up a race. So you can set up a start point, however many amount of checkpoints you'd like, and we have some little visualization tools that kind of show how stuff is connected up. And then the finish point. And you're also able to set like how long the race should be. So I'm going to set this to be a 7-second race. As our race will start, a timer will pop up. And we're going to try and get through all of them. And oh, I don't know if I'm going to make this. Oh, I didn't make it, so now I lost some health, and the race restarted. So if I want to try it again, I gotta go back to the start point. Let's see if I lock in, if I can do it this time. Oh, this is so close. Holy, that's close. I haven't made it give you any rewards, but I want to try and put one through here now, because the end goal is to try and have you fly through like some landmines or a city or something. Alright, we're back with a pretty big update here. We talked about wanting to fly through this area. So, I did a bit of a rework to our damaging and our health up orbs. And now how it actually works is these are actually directly connected to the race themselves. So you can also tell from this little race ID, which, you know, I should probably make these show the race ID too. But as you move these things around, this is just a little visualization to show kind of what race they're a part of. But the idea is now that rather than just having all these bombs in, once you actually start the race, all of these bombs are gonna and health things are gonna spawn in. So now you gotta do this time trial while avoiding all the bombs. And yeah, let's give this a test. Oh, whoever made this health system, holy, that's a majestic. But now once you go in, you'll see everything spawn in. Holy, now you gotta really lock in. Ugh, I didn't make it. But you guys can see the idea. You can see where this is coming along so far. I think this is turning out pretty dang cool if you do it. Alright. Well, I'm gonna go fix that. So this actually took way longer than I want to admit to make work, and it doesn't even fully work. So you can die and it'll just ragdoll your character, but I can't for the life of me make the camera follow them. So yeah, that's the feature dev problem. So someone else can fix that. Yeah. All right, time for one more pretty big update, probably the biggest one in a while. This has been working on this for quite a while now here. And this might be my last feature I actually add. After this, I'm just going to clean stuff up. But what we got is what is a superhero or supervillain, depending on what the next devs do, without laser vision, with some custom sound effects by yours truly. But now, you can fly around, you can... I have some stuff with like physics that you can knock over the landmines from before. So now you can blow stuff up. So now we got the gameplay loop. Flying through here. Oh, this is the health. Oh, I want that health. Let's take that. Maybe I won't make that have an explosion. But now you can, as you go through everything. I think it's kind of aura. I'm gonna take everything I've made, clean up, throw in a little demo test scene for the final developer, or sorry, not final developer after me. And then I'll do one more update. So this little idea I'm thinking about doing, just to kind of end things off, is to build a kind of a simple little map for our game to take place in. So I'm thinking maybe we can start over in the corner here. All these would be like buildings and some water, and then you can fly through the city. Maybe I'll put a race in a couple of these locations, and then a couple things other developers can, or a couple things that people can like blow up in the city, and then we can just see where people take it from there. So I'll be back once I have this little prototype built up. So we got a character that can look around. They have the ability to shoot laser beams and blow stuff up, which I think is kind of fun. You can fly around. And then we got the time race where you can go through here and try and get through all the hoops while blowing stuff up, which is kind of fun. Oh, get that. Get some health from it. Let's blow up these trees. Got another one over here. And then you can fly through. And if you ever make a mistake, your character kind of just goes flying off in the distance and ragdolls. I'm very excited to see what the next dev can do with this.
Hello, this is the video log from Dev 5. That is me. Props to like all the devs that came before me, like you guys did a really good job. I really like the notion of like being able to fly, and then Dev 4 came in with like, you know, the super secret thing, and you know, the race mode. And I thought that was pretty cool. I like the way it had developed so far, and I really want to add to this. However, I didn't want to do anything mechanical because I was technically on break at the time, so and programming hard, and so I thought to myself, you know what? Let's do none of the mechanical stuff. Let's focus more on the art and other things, right? One of the first things I noticed was the distinct lack of kind of, you know, like a title screen and like an overall structure. So I was like, okay, let's give it some of that. So I gave it just a title screen. One of the cool things about that this game jam gave me the opportunity to do was to just, you know, make some art and kind of, you know, work on that kind of stuff. So that was pretty fun. I'm glad I got to do that. But yeah, what it did mean is that there's a custom, I put in a custom button, and I also made like, okay, this one needs some explanation. So, before the game kind of, oh, I also did call the game Wannabe Hero Simulator, which, sure, I mean, I don't know, I hope somebody changed it after me, but if they didn't, like, fair enough, you know? Yeah, so, there was a game I used to play on Friff.com, which is basically like, a Batman game, where it was like a kind of like a platformer, and you had to, you know, fly through the levels and beat up bad guys and stuff, right? And so one of the important things that it did before every level began was basically they would have a kind of like a stinger where you would have like an icon of the Batman logo that kind of came down like and disappeared. And then the level would start and the music would kick in or whatever. So I designed kind of like, or drew out our character, but I kind of made him incredibly buff. I did take a very good look at the character model, and it seemed to me that bro had no meat on his bones. Also, the cape was sick and it was kind of clipping into him, and I noticed that it was on kind of like backwards. I should have factored that into the drawing. I didn't do that. Oh well. And I also saw that he had sunglasses on. I think I know who did that, but you know, it was cool. And so I kind of saw that and I was like, that's... Obviously we should make him buff because this is about his self-image. And so that's what I did, and I made like a little thing that appears, goes down. Actually, important thing about the way I implemented that, Dev 2 did something really cool with Do Tween. Like, that was really cool. I didn't know you could use it for stuff like that. I had to do some research, and I learned some pretty cool stuff about that, so, yeah, thank you for that. I got to learn some cool stuff about how to do stuff. Yeah, so I did that, and then I was like, well, there is no music. Let's make some music. And so I made, like, a little loopable bar. I definitely could have spent longer on it. I didn't spend longer on it It's not my best work, but it's fine. Like, we just have something looking in the back. And then I played the game a little bit, and I was like, you know what would be funny? If every single time you gained or lost health, like, you just have a little pop-up that showed up with, like, the character's face on it. And so I did that, even though it was really annoying. And then, what else did I do? I did make a game over screen, which is basically supposed to come after you lose in the race mode. And losing is basically just losing all of your health. And so I made, like, a little self-taught Heroes Academy midterm exam. You died. Because obviously, when you fail an exam, you die. And that F looks like you died. And so, yeah, I just thought it was funny. A little bit of lore for the game. I don't know, I didn't really spend that anywhere. I should have. One of the initial ideas that I had was to kind of create a little cutscene sequence using the Cinemachine stuff that would kind of, you know, go around the character lingering in the air and then have, like, you know, text that appeared, and I designed a box and everything, and it was gonna be super cool, but I didn't do it, so. Although I do hope that I'm not the only dev that had the idea for cutscene. Overall, had a really good time with this. I definitely could have done more, I feel like, but it's whatever. I'm happy with how much I was able to get in, just because I was struggling to do anything that day. Yeah, thank you to Dave for hosting this and putting together this this video. Like, it should be super cool. What else? Yeah, and I really, really hope that the devs that come after also have a good time, and I'm guessing we'll be seeing this after everything's done, so, you know, good job to us. We did something cool over the course of, like, a week, or a little bit over a week, one day over a week, yes. And, that's incredible, so we should be proud of ourselves. On to the next person.
Hello. I'm just here to explain a little bit on what I did. I'm Chester, by the way. So, when I got this build, I saw that the flying was pretty nice. I thought it was cool, so I decided to add story, because I figured that's a little bit of what was missing. So as you can see, I added a dialogue system, which I had fun learning how to use it. It was interesting. But I also added sounds for characters, because it's something that I normally don't do. But in this time, I had the chance, because, you know, most of the gameplay physics was already done. And I recorded my own sounds, which was fun. That's my voice. I thought it was cool. I liked it. Anyway, it is just a small tutorial, supposed to be like for one level, and the idea is that you just need to do one race, and then you can continue to this next level. As you can see, I tried to fix the cape, but it didn't work for me. So, well, that happens. But when you reach the end, you get this little screen, which was already done for another developer, but I added it, I implemented it to the game. And when you, also the sounds for this, I added these sounds. It takes you to the next level. The level 2 is just a copy of level 1, because, well, I didn't have time for anything like that. I hope that can continue, but that's mostly what I did. I also implemented other sounds from other developers and some stuff that was in progress. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Excuse, find a new place to hang this noose. String me up from atop these roofs. Knot it tight so I won't get loose. Truth is, you can stop and stare. Let myself out and no one cares. Dug a trench out, lay down there with a shovel up out of reach somewhere. Yeah, someone pour it in. Make it a dirt dance floor again.
So now that all the devs were done, all I had to do was check if everything was working and do some polish. I was quite blown away by what the other devs had done. I also found the chickens quite funny. I started with doing some bug fixes. I noticed that the scene transitions were not completely working because some scripts in the scene were persistent, but the references of the script were not, and so it was having empty references. I could have gone for more elegant aspects, but I just decided to make the script not persistent. I noticed that there wasn't a skybox, so I added one. I decided to go with purple because that was kind of like the theme. I upgraded the rings to this using the Unity particle system. This was a pain, but I think the payoff was worth it. I also added a player death sound effect. The game currently only had 2 levels, so I decided to add more. I broke apart the mechanics in level 1 into 3 different levels, where in the first level, the player was introduced to the movement mechanic, in the second level, they were introduced to the boost, and finally, in the final level, they could practice their destruction. After testing the game for more bugs, when I was happy with the state, I finally made a web build of the game and put it on Edge. And you can play it right now. Overall, this was a super cool experience, and I'm glad with what we ended up